We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's Mission King of the Baggers, round number 5 of 9 for 2024. This is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Brainerd, right here in Minnesota at Brainerd International Raceway. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, this race is our 9th of the season. We have 18. That means that this is the halfway point. However, in this championship, it's now down to 2 riders. And last weekend at Road America, one of those riders had to have a win in the last race to stay in it.
Yeah, Troy Herfoss has come over from Australia as a Superbike champion and has really taken this series by storm. Kyle Wyman obviously is his main challenger this year. This was race 2. Hayden Gillum put up a very valiant effort, our defending champion, but these two at the front, they would get away. The 17 of Herfoss and the 33 of Kyle Wyman. And for Kyle, this was a big momentum changer. On the last lap, he goes up underneath Herfoss, only for Herfoss to try to do a block pass on him and park him in the last corner. But that factory Harley-Davidson got in the draft of the Indy, Greg. Kyle Wyman was able to turn the tables a little bit, get that win in race 2, get a little momentum pulling in here into Brainerd.
A huge win, obviously, for the Harley-Davidson factory rider, as it was in Wisconsin, an hour up the street from corporate headquarters. But Jay, let's take a look at how this season has progressed. So Kyle Wyman ends up with 10 points after the first round. Then he's able to maintain it because they swap, Herfoss and Wyman, win second place apiece. Then we have a big 19-point swing, which puts Herfoss in Atlanta up by 9, and then they do it again, win and second each. And that's where we sit at 9 points in this championship at the halfway point, and we expect it to go like this for the entire season. Let's take a look at this track. It's Brainerd International Raceway. It's relatively flat, Jason.
Yeah, it is relatively flat, but it's fast, Greg. Turns 1 and 2 are going to be flat out on these big baggers as they go through there. Hard braking into 3. Then you have a very tricky infield section through 4, 5, 6. And then we've got that big, long right-hander, Greg, that leads into a quick chicane. This is the new section they built. By the time they get down into turn 13 there and flip it back over to that run to the checkered flag, there's a lot of action that can happen in that area.
First time seeing Brainerd International Raceway. How about a more inside look with our Insta Track Lap? On board here with Jake Lewis, and boy, it's flat, it's a lot of fun, but as you can see, it's a lot of speed. Race is coming up after this. How is Jake Lewis gonna do? We'll find out.
When we look at the starting grid, Roger, you see Hayden Gillum there on the pole position, but a little bit of a mix-up. You know, Kyle Wyman is a little further back than what we have seen him so far this season, starting this race on the second row down in 4th, and Troy Herfoss with his teammate Tyler O'Hara are locking out that front row.
Yeah, and you think Troy Herfoss also just finished the Superbike race, and everybody talks about how physical this track is, so it's going to be interesting. Kyle seems to always step up when the race starts, and this is for the baggers, this is probably the race of the year that's been the biggest unknown going into the first race here on Saturday. So it's interesting to see. We got some new players up there this weekend.
And for Kyle Wyman, and in this championship battle, you know, currently he is 9 points behind Troy Herfoss, and it's that one podium that has made the biggest difference. And Troy being able to finish on the podium in each of the 8 races so far, but as we are, you know, getting into the halfway point of the season now, the door's been opened wide, and Hayden Gillum, he knows he's a long ways back, but he certainly is here for that challenge.
Yeah, and if you know he's a long ways back, but winning races would do a lot to help out.
This warm-up lap continues. Let's go ahead and send it back next door to Greg and Jason.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles.
What a look rolling through the pits here at Brainerd International Raceway. Here's the starting grid: Hayden Gillum, Herfoss, and Tyler O'Hara.
And Gillum's going to take some work today to beat Kyle Wyman, Rispoli, and Rocco Landers. And then we have Lewis, Flinders, and West. Only got 9, Greg, but there are 9 fast bikes. So it's going to be interesting. The front 5 or 6, Greg, are separated by like 0.7 of a second. So in the Mission King of the Mission Foods King of the Baggers sprint this morning, it was Gillum getting out front quickly in that challenge race and winning it over his teammate, Rocco Landers. So see what Rocco can do. Here we go.
9 laps to go in this one. And our pole sitter popped the clutch a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's going to affect his drive down into turn number 1. So here goes Hayden Gillum off into the lead. And just behind him, that fast field that JP was talking about. And it looks like it's going to be the 29 of Tyler O'Hara on the S&S Indian Motorcycles. That's the Indian Challenger behind him. And is Tyler O'Hara going to try to sneak up the inside of the number 1 plate on the Revzilla, Motul, Vance and Hines? Harley Davidson? No. So here goes Hayden up on the meat of the tire, driving out, Jay.
And really, what we're going to have to talk about, Greg, is our championship point leaders. They are back there right now in 4th and 5th, I believe, or 4th and 6th. So, you know, we had a build-up at the beginning of our show here about the championship and the points. Hayden Gillum has been the man to beat this week, and O'Hara has taken the fight on the Indian with Rispoli there in 3rd. Then you've got Kyle Wyman in 4th, Rocco Landers, teammate to Hayden Gillum, in 5th. And then the 17, you can see it, our points leader, Troy Herfoss, back there in 6th. Had some struggles yesterday. Troy Herfoss yesterday ended up falling over twice on his Indian Challenger in the same corner, both times on the 3rd lap of each one of those sessions. So not something that we've been accustomed to seeing. And this morning, that team made him more comfortable. He got down to pace a little bit better this morning. So we'll see if Herfoss can move forward.
Good news, betting is now available for MotoAmerica fans. Go to nxtbets.com/playma. Visit MotoAmerica.com for more information.
Well, this isn't what anybody wanted to see, I can tell you, of the other 8 guys. Hayden Gillum with a clear track in front of him. He's going to be a hard one to beat. The factory Harley-Davidsons right now, you can see they're doing everything they can to run back down that Indian Challenger in front of them. But Gillum this morning in this turn here, turn 2, had a big scare, Greg, where he lost the front completely on that Harley in turn 2 and saved it. And got to wonder if it's going through his mind a little bit. The conditions are a little bit different than they were this morning when they were out in qualifying as well. This morning it was very still and nice. Now it's a bit breezy.
Well, Troy Herfoss, your championship points leader, is pretty far back there in 6th place. Let's welcome the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lofa, in with more at Troy.
He is, Greg, and there's been a lot of firsts for Troy. That's kind of been the theme of the season, being new to the series. First weekend on a super bike, filling in for Cameron Bobier. Also, as JP mentioned, not his first and second ever bagger crashes. He said there's no graceful or nice crash for a bagger, so the team worked really hard to get that bike back together, but a bit late to the party. But after earlier today in the challenge, he said he feels like he's finally arrived. So we'll see if he can continue that momentum in this race and make his way forward through the field.
And I talked to Troy Herfoss earlier today after he had those 2 crashes yesterday and asked him if he was physically okay. He said he was fine. The problem, Jason, was that where he crashed, he went to the corner worker station and he got attacked by mosquitoes. And he was talking about how these corner workers are in those corners and they're fighting off mosquitoes all day long. And he had a bunch of bites around his neck. And he said that's the only pain that he felt after going down those 2 times. But it's all about this guy right now, Hayden Gillum, Jay, where he hasn't had a great season. The number 1 plate on the Revzilla Motul, Vance and Hines, Harley Davidson. This is one of those tracks that we go to where the mighty horsepower and mighty speed of the factory bikes is diminished, is almost equalized to the privateer bike like the Revzilla Motul, Vance and Hines, Harley Davidson, Jay. And Hayden Gillum right now is showing us his riding prowess.
You saying that, but Tyler O'Hara is definitely keeping him honest. And you can see this battle for 3rd right now between Rispoli, Wyman, and Rocco Landers with Troy Herfoss as well. They've lost contact with those first 2 because Tyler O'Hara has done a nice job of just bridging this gap and not letting Gillum get completely far away. O'Hara only 0.6 back after that last lap. A 34.6 by Gillum and a 34.7 from O'Hara. They're the only 2 riders in that minute 34 bracket, which is extremely fast. But look at O'Hara on the 29. We've seen him have some good runs here in the past as well. And he's done a really good job. And, you know, Gillum, I think a lot of us probably thought that he'd have a 2 or 3 second lead at this point. That's just not the case. That Indian Challenger of Tyler O'Hara is doing a really good job.
And how fast is Hayden Gillum? A 134.683. That is a new overall record for Mission King of the Baggers here at Brainerd International. No! And down, is that Kyle? Or
that's
oh, is that Rispoli?
I think it's Rispoli.
Sorry, James Rispoli. Looks like he lost the front. He had a different helmet on in qualifying, so Rispoli mad at himself And he sends his factory Harley-Davidson flying through the gravel trap. And boy, that one was a heart stopper for a second, because I thought for a moment it might have been Kyle, and the championship ramifications
Have a look
are big.
at this as Rispoli comes into that fast left, transfers back over to the fast right. There's a bump out there, Greg, and you can see that bike. It hit that small bump and got the front end unsettled. And watch this Harley go flipping through the air. That's 600 pounds just tumbling along, and that gravel trap does its job and helps James get stopped. And while that was happening, you can see Herfoss in the bottom right part of your screen. He was able to get by Rocco Landers and Kyle Wyman. So the two guys battling for the championship right now are running third and fourth. There's some almost 3 seconds back of the leaders who have checked out, meaning Gillum and O'Hara. And but boy, that was a big tumble for Rispoli there. Glad to see he's okay.
But our championship rages on, and of course Troy Herfoss, the 17, leads Kyle by 9 points, and he was able to make a pass while we were in that replay. So every point matters in this championship. Now Jay, they do get a break in our next round, as we have two here at Brainerd, and they won't be at the Ridge, but then they're going to finish out the season with us. So there's still plenty of racing ahead. We're at the midway point after this race of Mission King of the Baggers, and you're looking at the battle for the championship points lead and the battle for third. All the while, Hayden Gillum 1.2 seconds ahead of Tyler O'Hara, and Kyle looked like he had a notion.
Well, that's kind of a test shot. That's one of those that you go under there and you think, okay, if it comes down to the last lap, is this somewhere I might be able to do it? And man, to slide one of those big baggers down the inside of somebody going into that final right, it's going to take a big job. And here you see O'Hara the lap prior. He goes up underneath Kyle Wyman in the turn that he fell off yesterday. So just kind of show you how professional these guys are, Greg. They can put things in the back of their memory and not even remember what happened yesterday. He goes and stuffs it up the inside of Kyle down into turn 3. That's where they're at currently as well. So we'll keep an eye on lap times. That time by, Gillum broke O'Hara a little bit, 34.6 to 35.0 to open up his gap to 1.4. We'll see if these three can start to close in on O'Hara at all with about 4.5 laps to go.
134.622 for Hayden Gillum. His third lap by, a new lap record as well. Hannah?
For Kyle Wyman, earlier today in Q2, he was fastest in the second and fourth split. He was really hoping to pick up some time in those first and third sectors. He said usually whatever quick lap times he can do at other tracks is easily repeatable, but here at Brainerd, he said he's going to have to really hang it out there to do those fast times.
And Jason, last year Kyle Wyman wasn't really the talk of the town at all. So they've made a huge step here at Brainerd, considering what happened last year.
Yeah, when you talk about talk of the town at Brainerd, you're exactly right. I remember speaking with him last year after the races, and he was just kind of smiling. He's like, I really don't know what just happened. And then I've talked to him quite a bit this week leading into the race, and he says, I've been focusing on that sector 2 all weekend, or for the weekend, and they've definitely made the bike better. As you see the first 2 guys go across that start finish line. Next 3, you can throw a blanket over these guys. Looking at the lap times, 35.4, 35.5, and 35.5 for Herfoss, Wyman, and Landers. Not really making any inroads on O'Hara because he's doing the exact same lap times as these guys.
And out front, Hayden Gillum went the fastest sector 3 split of this race, and at 134.622, a new outright lap record was followed up by a 134.636. So Gillum right now is just in another universe all by himself, just challenging himself corner to corner to best his times, and he's doing an awesome job out front.
And with Gillum out front, you got to thank Rocco. I mean, this is the best we've seen Rocco do on the bagger. And here's the guy leading the way for the Vance and Hines Harley team. And this has been long overdue for them. Hayden Gillum, our defending champion, just hasn't had the start of the season that he would have liked. But this is the best I've seen from the 97 on this bike all season long. And, you know, he'd love nothing better than to give Terry Vance a couple bikes up on that podium. So he's going to keep pushing along. And but the fact is, Rocco's in with a shout for that podium, and we haven't been able to say that all year. Hannah.
Yeah, for Rocco Landers, he really wanted to carry the momentum from the challenge earlier today into this race. It was very telling on how things could shake out here. He feels so good in the first sector and under heavy braking. We know Rocco's always been pretty strong on the brakes no matter what he's riding. And they also made a change today that gave him much more stability under braking, so that is definitely what's contributing to that confidence we see from him.
And the fact that he just loves this place.
Yeah, he's always done well here.
He does so well.
Didn't he do the double in the super sport class here a couple years ago, I think it was? that he did the double. So it's just a place that he just kind of gets along with really well. But that's really all it takes. Like after he has a weekend like he's had on this bike, I think it'll really transfer to other places that he goes. One of the things that's pretty telling to me is how much Herfoss pulls away from Kyle Wyman and Rocco Landers through those first 2 turns. Kyle spoke to me last night, said he's having a little bit of trouble through that first sector. But if you look at what's happening right now, they are reeling in the 29 of Tyler O'Hara. Last time by, they gained 0.6 of a second on the 29. So O'Hara's going to have to get the hurry up because he's got 2.5 laps to go. And he's got 3 guys all going quicker than him at the moment. All 3 of the guys behind him were at 35 flat, and he was at a 35.6.
And keep in mind, we've had 8 Michigan King of the Baggers races in this championship so far. We started way back, beginning of March, during the Daytona 200 weekend. And JP, since that time, in those 8 races, only Herfoss and only Kyle Wyman have won races. And other than what we talked about at the top of the show, that little miscue that Kyle had finishing in 5th place at Road Atlanta a couple races ago, it's been nothing but trading 1st and 2nd. So this is a different look Michigan King of the Baggers race as Hayden Gillum out front and Troy Herfoss and Kyle Wyman, they're back there.
Rocco's taking a shot.
I know, and Kyle might lose some more points in this championship if he's not careful.
Yep, I mean Rocco
there he goes.
Rocco got up alongside of him, Greg, going into that tight left. And literally, they went through there side by side. Rocco's got pace right now, and he's just got to try to find a good place to get past as they go into turn 2. The 97 might try to do something with Kyle Wyman when they get down to turn 3.
So Kyle Wyman, the 33 on the Harley-Davidson Factory Racing Road Glide, comes under pressure from Rocco Landers, who just snatches that brake lever and slides his Harley-Davidson Road Glide past Kyle Wyman, and Kyle trying to get back by him, but Rocco Landers looking the most comfortable he's ever looked since he started this class.
And just ahead, Herfoss is about to take 2nd place away from his teammate. If that door opens, you got to think that Herfoss will take a shot at O'Hara, as O'Hara now has probably seen that +0 on his board. He had gone early with Hayden Gillum, but now O'Hara is coming under attack from the 17 of Troy Herfoss, and Herfoss is extremely fast through turns 1 and 2. So if he can get close enough out of that last corner and try to do something, that's what he's going to do. You look on the left part of your screen, Rocco does a good job getting that 97 slid up underneath the inside of Kyle Wyman. Kyle couldn't fight back. But this is where it's going to be important for Herfoss to stay close, Greg. Get through these last 2 turns that they're coming up onto right now, and then Herfoss will try to do something with O'Hara down into turn 3.
There's your number 1 plate, Hayden Gillum, trying to shake off the beginning of this season. And what a job he's doing as he's coming to the white flag, so he's got 1 to go. But this battle for the podium heats up. Troy Herfoss, quite a story this weekend, filling in for Cameron Beaubier in a Tytler Cycles BMW Superbike. 2 times he crashed this Mission King of the Bagger, and he has put that behind him as the Australian professional.
Yeah, but the thing is I think O'Hara too did a really nice job getting through those. He's not close enough, and look at him protecting going down into here. So O'Hara did a good job.
Oh, there he goes.
Still going.
He just like straight lined the corner, but can he hold it tight? He does. What? Where did he come from?
Yeah.
I mean, that was 4 bike lengths back.
And you better be careful now because Rocco Landers is just itching for this podium. And like I said, he'd love nothing better than to give Terry Vance 2 bikes on that podium today. And you got to think he's going to take a shot at Tyler O'Hara probably in this last set of corners as he's looking at him now. So
there goes Rocco.
O'Hara looked the wrong way.
He did. So Rocco, a good move to move himself on the podium. Boy, what about the Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley Davidsons? Can they pull this one off on this final lap and bookend Troy Herfoss, who's going to gain a heap of points on his competitor Kyle Wyman if it ends up this way? And JP, we only have a couple corners to go on this final lap.
Yeah, for Kyle Wyman, it would be important also if there's any chance or any way that he can get by O'Hara in this last set of turns as well. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to do it. You can see him back there. And let's see if Rocco tries to square up Herfoss even.
To the line comes Hayden Gillum, trying to pop the wheelie on a 620-pound motorcycle, but he wins, and here we go to the line as Rocco gets by, and he's going to go into 2nd place and give the Vance and Hines crew a 1-2 finish over Troy Herfoss, and Kyle Wyman got around Tyler O'Hara. So now the difference in the championship is only 3 points lost, where it looked like Kyle Wyman might lose a lot more than that. So celebrations for this privateer team, the Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley Davidson going 1-2 with Terry Vance here. And then that factory S&S Indian motorcycle finishing in third. What a shakeup on the last lap.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to try to, you can see the difference. But when they went under the bridge, I thought that Rocco might try to square Troy up and go up underneath him in the right, and that's exactly what ended up happening.
How do you like that? Questions all around on how that happened from our MotoAmerica Live Plus crew. And yeah, that was something special. And there's Hayden Gillam's lap progression, that 134.622, an outright lap record. And this dude is on a roll. What a bounce back after a Road America weekend that saw him upside down. We'll talk to him when we get back.
For the Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley Davidson team, Roger Hayden, a 1-2 finish as you see Hayden Gillam with the #1 plate, popping wheelies all around this racetrack to make his way over and celebrate.
And not only that, to get first and third, 2 bikes on in the challenge as well. Just a great weekend. They did a lot of work on that bike trying to get it, try to find some speed, and it took them a little while to get things dialed in, but this is why they made those steps early on in the year, and now they're finally reaping the rewards of that. So Hayden Gillam has just been on fire this weekend. We've been talking about Rocco Landers, how he's getting closer and closer to the front in this bagger class, and Rocco's there.
And for Hayden Gillam being able to get that win, repeat the performance that he had last year. But one of the things that we were talking about during that race when watching Rocco Landers move his way up through the field is that it's so refreshing to see a rider who's able to celebrate could be considered the little moments also. I mean, look at him here. He finished second today. He's his first podium in Mission King of the Baggers, but you look at him and he might as well have won this.
I think, you know, Rocco he can see like, I'm getting there, or I've made it. Now I'm there. He's worried to death if he's going to get there. There's a lot of pressure on Rocco coming in and being a young rider and going the baggers, and now he struggled a lot early on in the year, and I think you see these little victories because he can see himself finally starting to figure it out. Now he knows that he's there.
And Hayden Gillam is now there as well. Did you see that shot there? Rocco went over to Troy Herfoss, tried to shake his hand, and Troy said, "No, man, come on, give me a hug." And together the two were able to celebrate. Terry Vance now down there with his riders finishing first and second. All of the trust and effort, everything that Terry Vance has put into this program and being able to see it grow. But, I mean, look, you see Kayla Yakov over there also. There's a lot of respect between all of these riders, no matter which class they're in. It's a family paddock. He's so pumped up, still hasn't been able to get that helmet off, but you can hear him yelling underneath it nonetheless. Tony Romo there from Dunlop Tire to congratulate Rocco on that performance. Saw a couple of rain spots on one of the camera lenses also. Clouds are coming in. The sky's getting a little darker. The wind continues to blow. We still have another race here this afternoon. But first, we need to hear from these top three. So I'm going to send it back over to Hannah, Greg, and Jason.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles.
Celebration for the #1 coming in to victory lane after a big W. And JP and I are still sitting here a couple minutes later after Troy Herfoss class act says, well deserved. But man, what a finish. Let's go over this again. So Hayden Gillam wins by 4.9 seconds. And Rocco Landers ends up getting by Troy, who ends up getting third. Kyle Wyman gets by Tyler O'Hara, who gets fourth. And this is the way it is. But Hayden Gillam with the big W is with Hannah.
Really strong performance on track all weekend long so far for Hayden Gillam, and finally his first King of the Baggers victory of the season. I know you've been working really hard toward this. Would you say it's a factor, the factors are the bike setup, or is it just how much you like this track, or a little bit of both?
Definitely a little bit of both. Definitely me liking the track helps. But these guys have been working their butts off since we got off the track in New Jersey last year, and to finally pay them back with a race win and and a good one. You know, a real one. We earned this one all the way through this weekend. So, man, it's awesome to do this for Revzilla, Motul, Vance and Hines. Yeah, for the family, for the whole team, for Steve, Craig, Josh, Terry, Quentin, Matt. I mean, it's Ray and Roy being here. It's good. I think we got the old parts in here, so it's awesome.
Big congratulations to Hayden Gillum. I'm getting some help from baby Alina here holding the microphone for his dad. Vance Hines goes 1-2, and Rocco Landers with a career first Mission King of the Baggers podium. Rocco, you made some moves there, but you caught Troy right at the line. Tell us how you did it.
Yeah, I don't even know. After that challenge race, I was almost wishing I hadn't done quite so good because I was had everyone having some high expectations, but somehow it worked out. I mean, to get a 1-2 for Vance and Hines and Revzilla and Motul and all of our sponsors, it's everybody. It's so awesome. Terry's smiling over there, the whole team, crew chief Steve, our team manager Craig, our fab guy Josh, he's also Hayden's mechanic, my mechanic Matt, my bagger's mechanic Quentin, everybody who helps us out. That was one of the best races of my life. I had a lot of fun. Threw some airball passes there. I figured kind of a win it or bin it, or second place or bin it, I guess, type of race. And I'm so happy. I could have done it with all my sponsors. I mean, HJC, Revit, Food Sport, California Superbike School, everybody who helps me. This is awesome.
Rocco Landers willing to risk it all, and it paid off today, second place. Rounding out your Mission King of the Baggers podium, Troy Herfoss.
Feels like a win.
Troy, this is the furthest we've seen you finish back in the class, but it's still a podium nonetheless. How important and crucial was this points chase in terms of the championship?
This was harder than every other race we've done. It's my worst result, but it feels like, for some reason, I'm happy with this. I'm a bit annoyed with myself for getting my pocket picked in the last corner. I thought I had Tyler behind me, and where I was strong, I knew he wouldn't be able to pass me in the last corner, but something must have happened behind me, and it was Rocco. And he's an ambitious young fella, and I'm proud of him for getting his first podium. But I got to say thank you to the whole Indian motorcycle team. Man, I've made them work so hard. All our sponsors, S&S, Progressive, Parts Unlimited, Drag Specialties. I'm going to forget some. I'm really sorry because I've got a lot on this weekend, but hey, you can see all the guys that support us here, and hey, another big crowd. Every race we go to, there's a big crowd, and it's the home of Indian here, so if I can get a little bit of a cheer, that'd be good.
Big congratulations, Troy Herfoss, rounding out your Mission King of the Baggers podium.
Absolutely class act. Our coverage continues for Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1, when we get back from this commercial break.
Here for the fans at Brainerd International Raceway, as well as for all of you watching along with us on MotoAmerica Live Plus. And I love that Troy Herfoss, that quote about Rocco Landers. He's an ambitious young fellow. He thought something had happened behind him, and it was Rocco.
Yeah, he thought it was his teammate was behind him, and I think he felt safe that his teammate wasn't going to take a shot there with a couple corners left to go. I got a feeling he felt like there was a gap. So, unfortunately for him, I bet he doesn't make that mistake tomorrow, and I bet if he's seen the 97 behind him those last couple corners, he wouldn't have left the door open.
You also heard what Rocco Landers said there to Hannah. It feels like a win is what he said. He finished second. It's his first podium here. And Mission King of the Baggers, win it or bend it, Roger.
Yeah, and what a day for Rocco, winning Twins Cup, now on the podium here in the King of the Bagger. And for Rocco, I think just the relief he has, because he has struggled this year on the Bagger, and then you come here and he's starting to kind of figure it out. It just seems like when you see a rider celebrating like that, it's just like the relief, like, okay, I can do it. I can ride this bike. I can be at the front of this class. All
right, let's talk about another race that's happening tomorrow. Mission King of the Baggers will go back out on the racetrack. Hayden Gillum won this one by 4.9 seconds. How do they catch up?
I think they got a lot of work to do. And, maybe if Troy gets a better start and Rocco, those two had to come from the back of the pack a little bit toward the end of that group. But 5 seconds overnight is going to be a lot to make up. But you never know in racing. A rider can make a mistake. Things can change overnight. Track temperature can be a lot warmer tomorrow as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. But they got some homework to do.
And in fairness, that could have been even a bigger gap over second place for Hayden Gillum. He slowed it down, tried to pop a wheelie across the checkered flag. Let's go back next door to finish out coverage with Greg and Jason.
Well, Hayden Gillum wins. Troy Herfoss holds on to the lead. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. See you soon.
what we do here at Arai Helmets is actually, in racing services, is a piece that we use for our research and development. There's not many places where we can actually use video to confirm how a rider crashes. We can't use video on a street to see how a cheat pad works. And when you do it in a laboratory, you don't get the same conditions you're going to get when you're out in the actual air and the wind and everything. You can try to use other devices, but you'll never replicate the real world scenarios. So that's where racing services really becomes very important. It's all about the research and development. You know, I talk to Mr. Arai every Thursday night, and we discuss everything that we've seen from the races. It doesn't matter if it's IndyCar or MotoAmerica, we discuss everything that went on and what all the riders' feedback was, because they want to know exactly what the riders are feeling. But you know, one of the biggest parts of research and development when it comes to the helmet, of course, is the helmet's #1 job, which is protection. So critically important to Arai is that round, smooth shell. Because what happens is the helmet comes down and it bounces and glances and burns off that impact energy instead of transferring it to the rider's head, which is really important to us. So the glancing is something that we've seen from all the videos and all the riders that we've seen, unfortunately, go down. But it helps us when we're out here to see that video and go, okay, well, the rider went down like this, he hit this portion of it, and this is what happened to the helmet. So we can put the entire story together. Because if you have just one part of the story, well, from the video, you can't really tell where the helmet's been hit or how bad the helmet's been hit. So that's so important, and that's the one big thing that we found through all our years doing this. Rider protection is #1.
Hey, I'm Michael. I'm with Insta360, and we're here at MotoAmerica in Austin, Texas.